So good evening everybody. Welcome to Officers Adda 247 channel. I hope I am clearly visible as well as audible. So good evening everybody. Okay. So I have checked from my end only. So everything is fine. Okay. So let's start the session. As you know that we are covering the IE and IFS component during this time period on this channel, that is English medium Officers Adda 247, and we try to maintain the same quality which we are providing on our bilingual channel. Now the basic agenda for today is to start and cover the unit number 11, which is in module A of IE and IFS. I hope that previous 10 units you have comprehended really well. If you have any doubt, you can ask me right now. Otherwise, you can also drop your comments in the comment section if you are watching it in the recorded format. So, unit 11 is basically about the issues which Indian economy face, and we will be discussing each of these issues one by one. What do you mean by the issues facing Indian economy? If I have to give you a crux of this agenda, I will say that you must know that what are the issues. Issues are poverty, your unemployment, your inequalities, migration, and so on and so forth. Various issues are there which are hindering the growth of our Indian economy. So first of all, we will see what all issues the Indian economy is facing. Then we will see that what are the poverty alleviation programs. Then what is the jobless growth? What do you mean by jobless growth? What are the rising inequalities? What do you mean by rising inequalities? Like you can say there are regional inequalities, fine, like your center state. Then you can say there are gender inequalities like male female workforce participation. Then you can also say that there are class inequalities like rich and poor. We will be concentrating on this part, fine. After that, we will also see that what do we mean by migration and its impact on the resources. Although this part is not that relevant because all of us know that as the population will rise, ultimately the stress will fall on what? On the resources. So more or less we can relate with this topic also. In the end, we will see what all are the possible remedies for curbing the negative impact of migration and what were the negative impact which were created by the pandemic, that is your COVID-19. So let's get started. First of all, the issues facing Indian economy, we can break them down using the three steps. One is your economic growth, second will be your unemployment, third will be the agriculture sector. Now, why we have specifically included agricultural sector? The reason being, this is the largest sector when we talk about the population's participation. So that is the only reason why we have given special emphasis on agriculture when we talk about the issues. First issue is the slowdown in economic growth. As you know that after the pandemic of COVID-19 hit our country, there was a negative growth. The growth rate was negative. It was somewhere here lying between 6 to 7% in the pre-COVID era. In the COVID era, it fell below 21 to 23% when we talk about the numbers. Okay, so negative growth was there in the Indian economy because of this COVID-19. However, the Indian economy has witnessed a rebound in 2021, recording a growth rate of approximately 9%. So growth rate was again in a positive category of 9% after we focused on remedial measures which were hindering our growth in the COVID-19 era. And the net growth, the stabilized growth after this particular downfall remained at 7%. So more or less we were able to achieve the previous trend as was seen in the pre-COVID era. Unemployment and underemployment. Now these two terms are very important to understand as well as to comprehend the unemployment and underemployment data. If we do not know about unemployment as a concept, then we won't be able to comprehend what is written here. Unemployment means what? You do not have job opportunities. Fine. Job opportunities are not present or they are below par or very less. Underemployment refers to two things. One is that you do not have the specific job which you are looking for. So there is a mismatch between the skills and the job opportunities. Fine. There is a stark mismatch. Also, underemployment means that if a particular nation is having the job opportunities at a good level, at a decent level, still they are unable to produce the jobs, then also we will say that underemployment is there in that particular nation. Now, according to one particular survey, this survey is important. Why? So that we can know that what is the job loss data during the time period of April and July 2020, because this time period pertains to the first wave of COVID. So, according to Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMIE is an agency which monitors the various economic data of India. Over 1.8 crore salary jobs were lost. So, salaried jobs were lost in the range of 1.8 to 1.9 crore. So, you can see that this much population were left unemployed, and this is the data for salaried employees. Okay. For those who were daily wage earners, or for that matter who were not having a salary per se, there was a huge jump in that number also. So that is not written or mentioned here, but you can imagine the gravity of that situation during the COVID era. The unemployment rate was 7.4% in August 2020 compared to the previous year, that is 2019. So unemployment rate also rose by almost 2%, which is a very big jump, very big jump, I would say. 2% refers to what? 7.4%. Earlier it was only 5.4%. Now, according to NSO, NSO releases one data, you can say survey, that is PLFS, your periodic labor force survey. The unemployment rate for 2021-22 was 4.1%. So, three data points you must remember. One, that what is the estimate of the unemployment rate for 21 to 22. It was 4.1 according to PLFS, that is your periodic labor force survey. Plus, you must remember that what was the unemployment rate during the time period of August 2020. Now, why we are discussing this thing? See, the chapter is important. You cannot say that chapter is not important, but it is a very generic topic. Fine. If you say the issues which we are facing as an economy, as an Indian economy, so the issues are very generic. Everybody knows that, okay, population growth is there, rapid population growth is there, economic growth is not there, unemployment rate is high, agricultural sector is not doing well, manufacturing sector is not doing well. But what are the important data points that we are discussing here? Now, third important issue is the issue faced by the agricultural and allied sectors. Despite the recent growth in India's GDP, the agricultural sector has not shown the equivalent progress. What does this mean? That although our economy has grown beyond 7% in bits and pieces, but agriculture, the overall growth or the annual growth of agriculture has always fallen below, you can say, 5%. Always you will see in the recent trend, basically you will see the recent trend is whatever data you pick up and study, the growth rate of agriculture always falls down by approximately 4 or 5%. So that is a major concern. Why? Because half, or I would say more than half of the population of our country, they are engaged in this particular sector. So if they are not employed, or they are not having the level of employment which we require to grow as a nation, then it's an area of concern. As per the economic survey of 2022-23, the agriculture and allied sector in India have experienced an average annual growth rate of only 4.6%. Fine. So, average growth rate is only 4.6%. However, this falls short of the desired growth rate. This is the growth rate which I was talking about, that it always lags behind the desired growth rate. Okay. Even if it is growing, as you can see that it has sorry, grown by 4.6%, still it is far behind from whatever the growth rate is projected by the government of India. Agriculture sector's contribution to India's GDP has shrunk over a period of time from 35% and now it is only 15%. 35% was during the economic reforms 1991, the LPG reforms. At that time the share of agriculture in GDP was 35%. Now it is only 15%. So that is also an area of concern, because the population which was involved here is more or less the same, almost same as are involved in today's India. Fine. Now, what is poverty elevation? This is the topic where we need to work on. It's been what, more than 67 years that we have introduced the first poverty elevation program in our country, and still we are lagging much behind the entire world in terms of elevating or eradicating the poverty. Eradication of poverty is very important. Why? Because this ensures the standard of living, the good standard of living. Also, employment will be there, plus the hunger will be eradicated when we will eradicate the poverty, and all these things will ultimately lead to what? Growth in Indian economy. So that is why this is one of the major component to be addressed by the government of India. So poverty elevation, the definition says that it is the set of steps taken in an economic and humanitarian way to eradicate the poverty in a country. Poverty, you all know that certain standards are there via which we can say that yes, this particular nation is poor, or this falls in the middle income group. Elevation means eradicating. Fine. Erase. So poverty elevation, if you talk about this term, it means eradicating the poverty by any means, by the government initiatives, by the individual's initiative, or for that matter the regional initiative, the integration of the globe itself. According to the World Bank has given one benchmark that if a person's salary is less than or equal to $1.90 per day, then we will say that he or she is living in extreme poverty. Fine. This benchmark is important because this might be asked in your exam. Otherwise also it is important for your journal knowledge. Along with that, World Bank also says that 767 million people in today's world, they fall under this category of extreme poverty. So extreme poverty for the world, the number is your 767 million, and for India specifically it is what? It is your 268 million. So you can see that almost we are what? We are left with only 500 million people if we ignore or subtract the Indian population which are falling in the category of extreme poverty. So India's share is really high. We must address this number, and more or less if you will visualize, you will come to know that apart from India, we will have maximum sub-Saharan nations which are falling in this category. Okay, India being a developing nation, we have huge inequality, you can say income inequality is huge in our country, and that is one of the reason why we have abject poverty in certain areas, in certain domestic areas. According to the latest release official data in 2011, the number of Indians falling in the extreme poverty range was 268 million. Now Planning Commission also released one data way back in 2011-12, and it estimated that 25.7% of rural India and 13.7% of urban India fall in the below poverty line. So this data point is very important, very relevant for you. You must remember, question can be asked from this particular data. For rural it is what? 25.7, and for urban the number of BPL individuals is 13.7% of the whole urban population. Now, what are the major programs which are being run or implemented by the Government of India to alleviate the poverty? It started with IRDP, that is Integrated Rural Development Program, which was specifically targeted towards the rural population. Okay, back in, you can say, 60s and 70s, you will see many programs targeting what? Rural India only. Fine, they were not talking about the urban areas. Why? Because problem of migration was not there. Okay, people were not migrating that much. Only after the LPG reforms in 1990-91, we saw a stark contrast between the population residing in rural and urban areas, because the people from rural areas started to migrate towards the urban areas because of the job opportunities created in this particular era. Fine. So first was IRDP, then we had Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana, again particularly related to the rural India. Then the world famous, I would say, Manrega program, that is your Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, or you can say mission also. This is touted to be the world's greatest employment program when we talk about the rural areas. So appreciated by many you can say economists also and international organizations also. This is very relevant in today's India as well. National Food Security Mission and NRLM, that is your National Rural or Urban Livelihood Mission. You will see that here food security mission included not only the supply of food, but the nutrients or the nutritional values must also be ensured. That was also a concern. So basically the government integrated the health and the poverty in one domain. Then NRLM for rural as well as urban areas. Here urban areas were also included. Then the famous Jan Dhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which was implemented by our bankers. Okay, I hope people who have joined or were there during this time period, they can vouch for this thing, that it was one of its project, fine, one of its kind. This particular financial inclusion program just I would say modified the whole dynamics of Indian payment system, right? The financial inclusion program of Jan Dhan Yojana, it was beneficial to the, you can say, rural people as well as the you can say semi-urban people as well, because now they are included in the financial architecture of India. Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana and your PM Swanidhi Yojana. Now Swanidhi Yojana was implemented after, or you can say in between, or you can say that post COVID era, post COVID-19, this scheme was implemented so that the street vendors, our street vendors should continue their business with the momentum which they had before this COVID era. So Prime Minister Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi and banks have implemented this scheme. So all of you who are in the profile of credit, or you can say that all of you who worked during that time period in the profile of credit, you must have done some loans, because targets were also given to banks, fine. By government only these targets are redirected and the targets are implemented by the regional offices. Okay. Now, the another important term is jobless growth. When we talk about Unit 11, jobless growth is also important to understand. Why? Because the growth can happen in various ways. Okay, you cannot just say that if a country is having good employment opportunities, then it is growing rapidly. No, growth can happen through foreign currency, through the influx of foreign investments. It can also happen through various infrastructural developments. Fine. What do you mean by growth? The GDP. Okay, the production capacity, if it is ever increasing for a particular country, then we will say that yes, the growth is high, it is being maintained. So the job thing, you cannot just say that job is the only criteria through which we can measure the growth of an economy. But yes, it is one of the important criteria to measure. And if we talk about India, so India is infamously being touted as the country known for jobless growth. That is, there is a growth, okay, there are growth opportunities as well. GDP growth is always there with our country, but we do not have the employment opportunities, or we are not maintaining that level. Fine, either the employment opportunities are lesser or they are constant, they are not increasing. Definition of jobless growth is that it is an economic phenomena in which the economy grows while maintaining or lowering its employment level. Okay, so employment is either constant or it is lower, but still the economy as a whole will keep on rising. If this particular situation happens, then I would say that a particular country is moving towards a jobless growth. But the recent report of ORF, that is Observer Research Foundation, and this report I think was published in October only, September or October, I don't remember the exact date, but yes, this report is from 2024 only. Why this report is important? Because it directly relates to our topic which is given in the book, and this report is being published on the website of PIB, that is Press Information Bureau of India. Title of the report was Busting the Myth of Jobless Growth. So basically ORF wants to say that India is having growth, but it is also having good job opportunities. Insights from data, theory and logic. So they have used various data points, various theories, macroeconomic theories and certain logics to predict or to say, to assert this thing that yes, India is not having a jobless growth. It is having good amount of job opportunities along with good growth as well. Now, contrary to the claims of jobless growth, data shows that employment in India increased by 36%. Now, although the data is from 22-23 only, we are yet to receive the latest data of 23-24, but still we can say that it is more or less a latest data. If we talk about the huge data which is being you can say which is being compiled for the employment data. So this data says that the job or the employment opportunities in India, they have risen to 36% during this time period, during the time period of 2016 till 2023. And during this same time period, GDP also grew at an average rate of 6.5%. So this is one of the data point which ORF used to assert or to prove that yes, India is having jobs as well as growth, because see na, 36% increase in the jobs, 6.5% increase in the growth. So how can you say that we are having jobless growth? Fine. PLFS, the Periodic Labor Force Survey, also says that during the time period of 2017 to 2023, the worker population ratio has increased almost 26%. So the ratio of population in a country and the population which is participating in work, which is employed in various sector, that has increased to almost 26%. So more or less, if we talk about this particular data, if we go through this particular report, then we will realize that we do not have jobless growth. We have equal amount of job opportunities as well. some points from Economic Survey of India which are important to understand that why we do not have jobless growth. The economic survey of this year says that this year, that is 23-24, it says that we have improved labor market indicators. So the all the you can say employment opportunities in labor market have improved. Sectoral distribution of employment is also there. You cannot just say that only one sector is booming when we talk about the employment opportunities, and the other two sectors are not at all booming. So there is sectoral equal distribution in those sectors, all the three sectors of economy, when we talk about the employment opportunities. Decline in the unemployment, rise in female participation in labor force, you can say the labor force participation when we talk about female has also risen. Now this proves that there are jobs. Okay, now it cannot happen that we do not have job and we are providing females with the job. No, it cannot happen. So this also somewhere proves that we have good amount of job opportunities. Recovery in organized manufacturing employment. Now after COVID era, we saw that there was a slump in manufacturing sector. That is also on the track of improvement. You can say there is some improvement here as well. Fine. Okay. Then wage growth in rural and urban areas. Wage growth is also reported in both these areas, rural as well as urban areas. Expansion of EPFO payroll is there. EPFO payroll expansion means that the salaries are being disbursed, more salaries are being disbursed. Now if we are having we are disbursing more salaries, that means what? That there are more jobs. Potential of gig economy is also there. The gig economy is booming according to various stats, you can say. Manufacturing sector and artificial intelligence is also there to support this stake. Fine. Now the another topic is rising inequality. See, jobless growth, I want to know your opinion also. What are your opinions when it comes to this job opportunities in India? Okay, jobless growth is there, but I want your opinion that what are your views on the present job market of India. Do comment in the chat section if you are watching it live. Otherwise, do leave a comment in the comment section if you are watching it in the recorded format. Now, rising inequalities, we will be specifically focusing on the rich and poor category, that is the class inequality. Inequality has been steadily increasing over the previous few decades, and it has been especially pronounced after the 1991 economic reforms. Why? Because earlier, if we talk about India as a nation, there was not that much difference between the employment opportunities in rural and urban areas. There was a difference, but not that much which is prevailing today. When we compare it with today's difference, it was not that much. So what happened after this reform of 1991? People from rural areas started to migrate towards your urban areas for the better job opportunities in the services sector. Now imagine one thing, that there were two friends in 1991 we are talking about. One stayed in the rural area and pursued agriculture, and the another friend moved from rural area to the urban areas and started his or her career in IT sector. Fine. Now this is just one example. Still you will feel, still you can understand that there would be a stark contrast in their salaries. Okay. So if the income of your rural friend was, let's say, 110, let's just assume na, then urban friend was earning at that time, let's suppose 200. Now this difference of 90, when we compound it with the inflation or the salary hike which the IT sector has given from 91 till today, we will see that there is a stark contrast or stark inequality between these two friends. And using this example, we can replicate all the sectors of economy which are involved in your urban areas for employment and rural areas. So in rural areas we only have agriculture, the primary sector, but in urban areas we also have manufacturing. So if there is a difference between two friends, just imagine, just visualize what will be the difference between the larger population. So after 1991 economic reforms, this thing started to happen, and it is one of the reason why we have rising inequalities. The poor people, they are becoming more poor day by day, and the rich or the wealthier or the elite group, they are becoming more rich day by day. Fine. So middle income group is also there, and middle income group is ever evolving. But when we talk about inequality, we see the extremes: rural poor versus urban poor, or rural rich versus urban rich. In the report of World Inequality Report, the discussion of inequality is very often centered on disparities in consumption, income and wealth. Whatever you consume, whatever you earn and whatever you invest. These are the three parameters when we talk about the World Inequality Report. And if you see these three parameters, they will be very different for all those people who are living in rural areas, semi-urban areas or the urban areas. Fine. According to this report, India is now one of the world's most unequal countries when we talk about the income disparity. In India, top 10% of the population earns 57% of the national income. This is a huge contrast. Fine. 57% of the national income comes from top 10% of the population. The very light or elite, as you say, top 1% earns 22%. Fine. They earn 22%. 1% is earning 22% of the total of this top 10%. This 57% and this 22%, you must relate this thing. Okay. Out of top 10, see the pyramid is like this only, na? The top 1% are sitting here. Okay. Here top 1% are sitting. Here the remaining 9% are sitting. Okay. So this 1% is having the share of what? 22% of the 57% which is being held by the remaining 9%. This is a huge number. Okay. In comparison, the percentage of national income earned by the poorest 50% has fallen to 13%. Only 13% income of the nation is being held by our poorest 50%. That is a huge inequality in itself. Okay. So how you must relate with the examples near you or whatever you are observing, then it will give one indication to your brain that yes, this thing is actually happening. According to Oxfam International, the top 10% of the Indian population controls 77% of the entire national wealth. Okay. So this report is also important. Various surveys are being conducted by your Oxfam International. Okay. War survey, economic survey, political survey. But here it is saying that the top 10% of Indian population controls 77% of the entire national wealth. According to your World Inequality Report, the number was 57%. According to Oxfam International, it is more, that is 77%. Okay. So various agencies, various organizations have their own criteria, their own set standards through which they measure the various parameters like inequality, population, growth. So that is why the numbers will have some contrast between them. Okay. Any doubt you have till now, you can ask me. If there is no doubt, then we will move on to the migration. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? You can just ask me, because if we do not have that interactive session, na, all these things will be like that is I'm just telling you a story which won't matter that much. Until and unless we have a debate, until and unless we differ on some things, then only the productivity of this session will increase. I will also learn something new if you want to share anything, because you are closely related to one of the sectors of economy. tertiary sector, you guys fall in the tertiary sector. So do you think that there are any problems in the tertiary sector right now which we need to address? Okay, you can answer those things also. You can just share your views, because 1 hour you are spending for this session. So you must have an open mind. Okay, open mind for everything, whatever is happening, whatever we are discussing, whatever you can share, you are more than welcome to share that. Okay, so I hope that till now there is not an issue, because no comment is there. Fine. So all of you who are watching this in a recorded format, do comment below that what do you think are the issues faced by the tertiary sector of Indian economy. Tertiary sector. Why tertiary sector? Because banking is also one of the part of the tertiary sectors. I want to know your views, so do drop your views in the comment section. Let's start the migration process. What do we mean by migration? Migration is nothing but to move from one place to another. That is known as migration. Now, reasons may differ for migration. Somebody will migrate for better studies, somebody will migrate for better health services, somebody will migrate for good environmental, you can say, aspects like good weather, good you can say the winds are there, fine, breeze is blowing. So any reason you can have for migration. The process basically involves movement of person or the family from one place to another permanently. Okay, permanently. Fine. Why permanently? Because otherwise so it will be tourism, na? Tourism and migration are different. Okay. So what is migration? It is a worldwide phenomena that is influenced by numerous aspects, including your social, political, cultural, environmental, health and education. Social means certain societal factors are there which have forced you to migrate or leave your parent country. Political, there are certain political upheavals like war or the unstable government of your own country. Cultural, you are not well accepted in that particular nation where you are residing. Environmental, like many hilly areas are witnessing sea level rise because of the climate change. So they are also trying to migrate, or they have migrated already. Health, from rural or semi-urban areas you want to migrate to urban or metropolitan cities so as to enjoy better health benefits. Education, for better educational services also we tend to migrate. So all these are the basic reasons why we migrate. Linkages between environmental changes and migration are very complex. Now some people will say that environment is not a factor to migrate, but mind one thing, that in today's world climate change is the reality. Okay, everything which is related to the climate change, it has one or the other repercussion on itself. Whatever sector we are talking, where the climate change has impacted, that particular sector has changed forever. Same thing is happening at a low level with the migration. People have started to migrate because of the change in the climate. Sea level is rising, cloud bursts are there, flash floods are there, then we have landslides, frequent landslides are happening. So people want stability in their life. Now stability is in the form of income as well as the standard of living. You cannot enjoy a good standard of living if you are not having a permanent house in a place which is stable naturally also. Fine, you won't be happy to live in a constant fear of natural disaster, right? So migration is also influenced by the environmental factors. Other factors are what? Economic, social and political. These are the normal factors which we already know, which we have just discussed. Main part is this one. They are worsened by changing environmental conditions as well as developmental and demographic situations. Fine. So earlier when we used to think that post retirement we will settle in a peaceful state. Now those peaceful states are on the verge of collapse. Why? Because of increased infrastructural development. right? Increased infrastructural development means more impact of the natural disasters will be there. Fine. Initially, when people were not residing in hilly areas and floods were there, floods were occurring, flash floods were occurring, or cloudburst was occurring. So, loss of life used to be minimum. Now, when people are going to those places for even for the tourism, or for that matter, they have shifted or migrated permanently and built their own houses or apartments there. So, the loss, the you can say impact of this loss has also increased. So, basically migration is directly related to the environmental change as well. Now, what are the possible remedies for the problem which we just discussed? The main issue which we face or the main concern when we talk about climate change, they are the increase in the frequency and intensity of extreme environmental events like drought, your sea level rise, flooding and cyclones. So, nobody wants to live in the areas where cyclones are frequently occurring or flooding is there, fine. The migration of people from rural to cities is also rising. It has all in the time span between 1991 till today, that is 2024, it has always been rising only. There is no reverse migration except for the COVID time. In COVID time, we saw a phenomena known as reverse migration. People from urban areas started to move back to their roots, that is rural or semi-urban areas. So, this process of migration from your original state to the parent state is known as reverse migration, from where you are residing to your parent state from where you belong. This particular process is known as reverse migration. Okay, let's come back to the topic. A new middle class is forming with the, or you can say, which wants better living standard, and they hope that their living standard will rise. Now, within the middle class of Indian urban areas, there is one more class forming, fine. That is why, because of the constant migration from rural to urban areas. Okay. So, interstate migration is also there. You cannot just say that you are living in, let's say, Tamil Nadu, and you are moving in one city to the other city of Tamil Nadu only. Okay. There might be a case where you are living in Tamil Nadu, you want to move to Karnataka. From Chennai, you want to move to Bangalore. Okay. So, this thing also you must keep in mind, that the disparity or the migration between the states is also a reality. Then promoting the agricultural and agribusiness will be extremely beneficial with this regard. So, the remedy to this migration would be to create an environment, or the job opportunities must be created within the rural areas only, so that people won't be leaving their parent state or parent place and move towards the urban areas. That can be one of the possible solution to create job opportunities in the agri or agribusiness sector only. Next, we must make efforts to make the farmers get non-farm sector job. Okay, we must upskill the farmers as well. This will also help, fine. This will also help us. Along with that, smart cities. Smart cities, the focus is on what? Inclusive growth. Fine. Inclusive growth is nothing but growth of each and every component of the country of India, and the component refers to what? The administrative component, whether it is your rural area, urban area, one district, or tehsil, sub tehsil, or country as a whole. Every administrative area must be developed so that we can rise as your developed nation. So, this is the basic idea of the smart cities, that ultimately we will be making the country smart with the help of all those smart cities which we have designated. Plus, you can say that the most potent possible remedy will be the involvement of government. Government must encourage the programs, they must encourage the stability, education and career possibilities within their homeland, fine, so that people won't move, won't have any repercussion, or they do not have any obligation, not repercussion, they do not have any obligation to move to the urban areas from the rural homeland. Okay, so one more important topic, that is pandemic situation, which you can say molded the Indian economy. So what happened during pandemic? What was the major issue here? As you know that India is focused towards primary sector, fine. Maximum population of India is involved in primary sector, and the service sector is one of the sector which contributes to the maximum GDP of our country. In between lies the manufacturing sector, and this sector takes people from your primary sector as well, and some unskilled workers from the services sector as well. So this, you can say, forms a bridge. It can form a bridge between both the extreme sectors. And this sector was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Why? Because all those mining activities, manufacturing activities, the quarrying activities cannot happen if you do not have any contact, and quarantine was there, so you cannot have any kind of contact. So basically in India, manufacturing sector was hit badly, and because of that we had spillover impacts on the population as whole and economic growth as well. So the pandemic has taken a significant toll on the livelihoods and production capabilities. Here the production capabilities only mean the services which were not involved in the manufacturing sectors during that time. The virus has altered the economy's demand dynamics. Obviously the demand will change as soon as we see that one particular sector is not performing well, so demand will change. If a sector is not performing well during a particular time, that doesn't mean that demand will be zero. It will change, fine. People will start preferring some other things as compared to the previous sectors. Then supply bottlenecks, reduced workforce participation and threats from new virus variants have surfaced as risks to the domestic economy. This is a very basic thing where the point which is important is this: reduced workforce participation. There were no jobs left. Okay, we have seen in the previous slides also that in crores the salaried employees lost their jobs. So you can imagine what was the situation, what was the situation with the rural India or those people who are not salaried employees. Important data point which was there in the RBI's report on currency and finance of 2021-22. RBI basically said that it will take India more than 13 years to recover from COVID-19. This number is important because this can be asked in the exam, that according to this report of RBI, the report on currency and finance 2021-22, what are the number of years which India will take to recover itself from the impact of COVID-19? Answer would be 13 years. Okay. Apart from that, we have seen Russia-Ukraine war, which basically what it did was it reduced the forex, the inflow of funds, not only in India, abroad also, in the global economy also. But yes, it also had a severe impact on our supply chains as well. Majorly it hit the European supply chain, but India was also somewhat impacted. Plus there are other wars like your Israel-Palestine. Then we have the US dollar and rupee disconnect was also there. So various issues are there which which have impacted the Indian economy, and they contribute towards all the issues which we have studied in this particular lecture. Okay, so this was it from my side. Now it's your turn to quickly answer these questions, because in the real exam I firmly believe that if you can solve the question, one question in a time period of less than 1 minute, then you can easily at least read all the questions and increase your chances to crack this exam. So tell me the answer. As per the Planning Commission estimates 2011-12, what percentage of population below poverty line is in the rural areas? What is the percentage of population of our country which falls in the below poverty line when we talk about the rural India? What is the answer? I want everybody to reply. Okay, so for those who are watching it in the recorded format, mind this time limit. 1 minute is your time, and the correct answer is your option C, that is 25.7%. What is the population when we talk about the urban areas? Do comment in the chat section. Now, next question. The PLFS, that is Periodic Labor Force Survey data from 2017-23 also suggests that worker population ratio WPR has increased by almost what percentage during the time period of 2017 and 23? All these data points are included in this lecture only, so I don't think so there is much to be talked about. So option A will be the right answer, that is 26%. Next, according to the World Bank, if a person is living on dash or less, then he or she is living in extreme poverty. What is the benchmark of salary per day for an individual to be termed as a person living in extreme poverty? Option B will be the right answer, that is $1.90 per day. Fine. Last question. As per the World Inequality Report 2022, top 10% of Indians earn what of the national income? What percentage of national income is being earned by the top 10% of the Indians? Top 10% by, you can say, by wealth. Okay. Now, what will be the answer here? Option D will be the right answer, that is 57. Now, one more question for you, that if instead of World Inequality Report, I ask you about the Oxfam International Report, then what will be the answer? What will be the answer? Do comment in the chat section. Okay, so this was it from my side. We have completed the unit number 11, and from the next lecture we will be starting module B, starting from unit number 12th. So the module A is being completed from our end, and I hope that you have enjoyed all the information which we have shared with you. Any doubt you have, you can just ask me in the chat section also. We would love to reply everybody. One recommendation from my side is, do visit our website to see what all latest offerings we have for you on www.adda247.com. This is the address where you can see all those offerings which we are having for you and help you out to crack this exam. Fine. We just want you to qualify or basically crack this exam within one attempt only. Okay, because it is doable. Many bankers have already done it, so you guys can also do it. One more thing I want to share, that we have our application on Google Play, that is Android phones, and your App Store for your iPhones as well. So do explore our app also. It is very seamless. It will be a cakewalk for you when you download this app and start using it. Fine. All those courses which we are having on the website, they work really well in this application. So do explore this also. Fine. So this was it, and do subscribe our channel, because we try to bring all the relevant content, all the quality content, all the exam relevant content for you in a very limited time. Fine. Our focus is always to provide crisp and concise videos, crisp and concise data points, so that even in the limited time period you can multifold your chances to crack this exam of JAIIB, or for that matter CAIIB as well. Fine. So one more information for all of you. If you want to enroll in the course, in any of the course you want, like Mahapack for JAIIB or CAIIB, double validity also we have on the courses. So do check it out on our website, that is Adda 247, and once you will select the courses as JAB or CAB if you want, then you will be migrated. I am telling you the migration here also, but not migrated. You will be redirected towards all the courses which we are offering right now. We have wonderfully designed these courses because they are exam relevant. We know that what will be asked. We expect that IIBF will ask from the topics, how much it will ask, what is the level of preparation or the level of questions which you must prepare, you must practice. Everything has been inculcated in these courses. So do go through. The mock tests are also there, video courses are also there. Basically they will help you or multifold your chances to qualify this examination. And if you want to enroll in these courses, so one code is there which you can apply so that you can have maximum discount on these courses. The code is Y1003. Okay, this is the code. Let me write for all of you. Yes, the course is whatever course you want. The code is Y1003. If you apply this coupon code, you will get the maximum discount. Okay, so this was it for the session from my side. If you have any doubt, just comment right now. I am available. Otherwise, if you are watching in the recorded format, you can drop the comments in the comment section later on. We will definitely reply you. Okay. Fine. So I think that there are no doubts. Still, if after going through this lecture, still if you have any query, just comment in the comment section. Thank you guys. Good night. Good night everybody.